Kyren Lacy is going to change the way things are done. He's going to make people think twice about what they say before they say it. Not everybody, somebody. Maybe Kyren Lacy makes someone think twice before the next investigation to say, hold on, maybe we got to look at a few other things here, right? Maybe let's not jump to conclusions, thoroughly review. Just maybe somebody else is saved from the same exact thing. Maybe thousands.
And a story that I know isn't going to get its due justice, former LSU standout star Kyren Lacy has basically been, proven to be innocent without reasonable doubt, even though he is no longer here on earth. He makes massive scrutiny for being potentially a part of a homicide that happened in a car crash, and the scrutiny that he faced online, the claims on his life that he was having from the public. There were people calling him everything but the child of God, eventually took over his mental health and had him take his life. And unfortunately, we're just now getting evidence that is proving that without a shadow of a doubt, it was impossible that he could have even been a part of that. And now he's just gone. And the internet has to rethink everything they knew.
If LSU and ESPN don't publicly call out this fucked up system that is happening to Kyren Lacy and his family, I am not watching college football. This is disgusting. And if you can't look at what happened to Kyren Lacy and see your brother or see your sister, see someone that got thrown under the bus for something that they didn't do, that was 4 cars behind them, go look at the story. Go look at the police body cam footage. You say that racism doesn't exist. You say that it's not systemic. They literally killed a young football player with a bright future because some old person couldn't hit their brakes fast enough, and you got a scapegoat 4 cars behind you.
We are now finding out that Lacy never caused that car crash, and he was framed by the police. He passed away for no reason. You see, come to find out, Lacy was nowhere near the accident when it happened. You can see his car literally be the last vehicle at the scene, and it just goes around him. When a witness told the officer that the person who caused the accident was the woman, the officer led the witness and told him, no, I need you to say that that Charger is the one who caused the accident. Because of this situation, Lacy's draft stock dropped. People were attacking his family and him on social media, saying that he took the life of a veteran. And due to an altercation that he got the night before court, he thought he was going to jail for life and just decided to go to the Lord. The officers and investigators that framed him for this incident and forgot that body cams exist, they need to be charged. They need to be in jail as well.
Around mid to late December of last year, LSU standout player Kyren Lacy was wanted for his involvement in this fatal car crash. No priors, no criminal record, literally a student at LSU, good kid who had the potential to be in the NFL. And he was getting the blame for a car crash that led to the death of a 78-year-old veteran, Herman Hall. The claim was that Lacy was driving at a reckless speed and that this truck had to swerve out of the lane in order to avoid a head-on collision with this car. Now, mind you, this is coming off the heels of other college athletes having similar reckless driving incidences, so this would fall in line and people would just buy this story as if it was something that was fact or known to happen. But his lawyer over the weekend popped up with receipts that would prove his innocence, and honestly, it's one of the most quietest stories I've heard on my timeline all weekend.
Yeah, so what you'll see is in the top left of the screen, you're going to see multiple cars just making their way south to Thibodaux, coming from Vacherie. At some point in time, you're going to see the collision, which we're going to know is vehicle number 2 from oncoming traffic colliding with the vehicle of Mr. Hall. You will see another vehicle come to a stop, and then you'll see Kyren Lacy come to a stop.
So as we've seen the video, it looks like the impact happens, and then Kyren Lacy is behind him. How far away was he from there?
Way far.
Yeah, that's the beauty of the investigative report that I now have my hands on. We know from data that Kyren Lacy did in fact pass 4 cars. There's no disputing that.
Yeah.
Further north, Kyren Lacy passed 4 cars. However, he was back in his lane of travel, 92.3 yards, back in his lane, behind Mr. Hall. At the time of impact, he's 72.6 yards behind the vehicles at the time of impact. Keyword, behind the vehicles.
That's crazy.
That is not how this story was ever painted.
No.
Never.
Any part of the district attorney's investigation that talked about Mr. Lacy getting back, I guess we call it, what do you call it, correcting or getting in your proper lane?
Sure, he was back in his proper lane according to their data. This isn't my expert. This is the investigation of the Lafourche Parish District Attorney's Office. So I'm here simply comparing and contrasting the District Attorney's Office with state police in this matter. They're investigations.
Evidence comes out saying that not only was the car crash not with Lacy, but that he was 72 yards behind the actual collision incident. It's amazing when you have proof of things and then people just invalidate you left, right, and sideways, as if you're not there, as if you don't have the evidence in front of you, as if you're crazy. Bad gaslighting attempts.
After watching that body cam footage, it is clear as day that Kyren Lacy was in fact framed. They painted this man out to be a murderer. It got so bad to the point where he became so hopeless that he took his own life. I'm just really curious, why did it take so long for this footage to come out? There was ample time for this footage to be presented.
Now, this is raising a lot of questions to the media, to the internet, to friends, to families, to onlookers of the situation. Why was this footage held for so long? Why did police decide to not report these things? Why was this not accessible to everyone? We live in a surveillance state. I mean, there's so many businesses, there's so many people with dash cams, there's so many cameras out there. If Kyren Lacy, LSU standout football player, got into an accident, I don't think that anybody would just not have footage of it anywhere. So why was it that this was withheld from us for so long if nobody was covering things up? That's the only answer that I can come up with. Now, what makes it even worse is that there is body cam footage of the police officer in the situation and the witness to the collision. And it seems as though that the witness is being coached by the police officer in order to make a statement, kind of gearing this person to say that certain things happened that clearly didn't happen. Not just based off of what the witness believed to happen, but also based off of the video cam footage. It's actually some of the most amazingly disgusting things I've ever seen in my life.
Don't worry about filling any of this top information, like your name, address. Don't worry about any of that. Just right here, if you could, I'll just have you write exactly what you saw. Just make sure to include, where you were.
I don't even know what the name of that highway.
It's Highway 20. Highway 20. That you just.
All right, me and my wife gonna figure out right quick.
Okay, just make sure you add in there that you had to slam on your brakes and the brakes, you had to slam on the brakes to avoid that charger, and the brakes locked up to avoid that charger. That's.
I ain't skid mark or nothing. I wasn't even gone, man. That lady in the back of me, she didn't know what was happening. That's how she called that wreck. She was running in the back of me. She pulled on the other side, and that's not in it.
So, but the charger was coming right at you, correct? Right. And that's why you had to slam on your brake, the head on with you. So yeah, just make sure you include that, and that's very important because we're trying to locate this charger right now. So just include that in the statement, and I'll read it over, and then I'll be out of here.
I've been into a situation where I've been a part of a car accident, and never has the police officer ever said any suggestive language. It is just about what you said, and they let it ride from there. They're not coaching you or guiding you to believe one thing. We're looking for a certain car, pressing and pressing and pressing. And in that 5-minute video of the officer talking to the gold truck suspect in the situation, there continues to be a pressing and pressing and pressing of the situation. Mind you, there are written statements from when the accident actually happened that go against the idea that Kyren Lacy was involved in this. And his car had no sort of scratch in it. And to top it all off, the person involved in the situation, the person who swerved and caused the accident, has been on Facebook and had their family on Facebook talking about the situation, acknowledging but not taking full accountability that they were the ones who actually caused the accident. What else is there left to do at this point? And this is where the story turns tragic, because social media is actually powerful. The idea that you can just get off and, don't let it affect you is really just this falsity that I wish people would stop pushing, because it doesn't actually work like that. There are certain things that happen on social media that impact your real life, and it needs to be addressed. Now, part of that is this double standard in America. There's a couple of them. The whole concept of free speech getting tossed back and forth depending on who's in power. And another one is the innocent until proven guilty philosophy. Yeah. It's bullshit. Kyren Lacy was essentially crucified on the internet because of this situation. And that impacted what happened to him going forward in his NFL career, or his not NFL career, because it was ripped away from him after the NFL revoked his combine invite based off of this news. And then after that, it was joke after joke after joke after joke after conversation about Kyren Lacy in this incident where there was little to no evidence linking him to this, truly just word of mouth that had him combined at the scene of the crime. There were literal TV news stations that were portraying him as the ultimate evil because they killed somebody who was an ex-veteran.
Digger Earls, the attorney representing Herman Hall's family, says he has been involved in a lot of high-profile litigation over his career, and says he has never seen a name withheld by officials because someone was a high-profile individual.
No one is above the law, not a star athlete, not anyone.
Louisiana State Police say Lacy was driving recklessly along LA 20 in Thibodaux on December 17th. at one point crossing the center line. Drivers in the northbound lane tried to swerve out of the way, causing a head-on collision that took the life of Hall.
I think that tells us a lot about Kyren Lacy.
Attorney Digger Earls, who plans to represent Hall's family in the case, says he is a big LSU fan, but that will not stand in the way of this case.
I cheered Kyren Lacy throughout his career, but that doesn't change my position, or it doesn't change the job that I have to do seeking justice for this family.
Public scrutiny would cause Kyren Lacy to ultimately end his life after so many people judged his character, judged who he was, stripped him away of his humanity for an incident that he wasn't even a part of. And now it's amazing to see how many people are doing a complete 180 on the situation as if the internet doesn't have receipts on them. The people most likely to end their lives in the United States are men, especially young men. Someone like Kyren Lacy, somebody who has a lot of hope and a lot of dreams, and a lot of those hopes and dreams get stripped away from them because of somebody who just honestly has it out for them. Nothing that they did, nothing that they could have stopped, nothing that they could have not been a part of, but somebody else plotting on their downfall. And those people on social media, looking to pile up on him, the outside noise finally getting to him. It's a tragic incident. It's a tragic story. And I think what makes it worse is that the evidence was always there, but he was most likely going to be cleared of all charges.
The district attorney's office in Lafourche Parish has yet to this day to accept formal charges. Let that sink in. We were set for grand jury today. I am privy to so much information that no one has. To get a report is a report. You know how many cases we get reports on that ultimately end up in acquittals? This one never even got past a grand jury yet, and they crucified this kid. And when I mean crucified in a manner I cannot describe. I had these talks with him where you're trying to calm it down, say, man, turn it off, let me take the heat. I got thick skin. You got a problem with me on social media? Come at me. Who cares? The narrative spun here has just been fascinating. Quite frankly, whether you were Marine or not, everybody's life is important. I have the utmost respect for Marine. Kyren had the utmost respect for Marines. That's irrelevant in this case, but the media didn't see it that way. The media, the same media, you know how upset he was? Every mugshot that was placed on there, you couldn't give him the courtesy of the 5,000 other pictures he had. You put him in a jumpsuit as if he was a thug and if he was this awful kid.
So the question is, what do we take from this? And I think that it's quite simple in this age of the internet. In an age where platforms like KickChamp and other of these rage-baiting platforms can just exist and thrive, is that we need to stop looking for a villain in every single story. We understand it that negativity does sell. But for whatever reason, when we get into these places and spaces of online discourse where a story is being told, the first thing that we want to know is who is responsible. We don't even necessarily care about the victim in the situation. We don't even care about the person who's hurt in the situation. Hell, there was a wife to this Herman Hall and nobody really gave a damn about her. It was more about vilifying Kyren Lacy over anything. And now we're sitting here with 2 lives lost over some ill reporting and social media painting somebody to be worse than what they are in the aftermaths of that ill reporting. Now, there are so many things that plagued this situation before that. I mean, the justice system has so many things that they need to talk about. The police department has so many things that they need to talk about. But it's crazy how we live in a world in which the accusation gets more coverage than the acquittal. It's crazy that we live in a world in which people can go out and claim somebody did something, but greater than that, they get blasted on social media, stripped of their jobs, stripped of everything, and honestly kicked to the curb before we even figure out what is really going on behind closed doors, before we get anything of substance. We live in a guilty before innocent society, and at some point, it's costing people their lives, those that are actually innocent. It's actually very disturbing how many times we can look to the internet and see that somebody was called out for something that they did, and that video or that tweet or that TikTok video get millions, and I mean millions upon views on multiple different platforms. But then 6, 12, 18 months later, when these people go to court or ultimately the charges get dropped, those videos get hundreds of thousands of views, maybe even not even posted and talked about. I understand that the world is full of evils and atrocities and we want to put names on different bullets. But honestly, what's crazy about all this is that I would even push to say that these people don't even care. They don't care when they really report on these things. They don't care if Kyren Lacy were to never be in the NFL again and he get rehabilitated. Hell, even if he was a part of that situation, it would have been an accident, but they wouldn't have cared. They would have just cared that they got this guy out of here and made a video about it to get their clicks, likes, and views and moved on to the next thing. They're not supporting the wife in this situation. They wouldn't be supporting Kyren Lacy in this situation. They wouldn't be supporting either party's families in these situations. It's just about getting the clicks, likes, and views. So how can we go about as a society changing this guilty before innocence measure? I don't know, but I think especially glorifying tragedy is the first step. Gotta stop rushing to post and letting things breathe. Rest in peace to Kyren Lacy. I'm glad that you're finally seeing justice on this side of the earth. So hopefully you can rest easy. It's a tragedy that, not that we don't get to see you on the Sunday screens. I don't think that matters in the grand scheme of things. It's a tragedy that you don't get to go home for Sunday meals anymore. It's a tragedy that you don't get to be home for the holidays anymore. It's a tragedy that you don't get to be who you were supposed to be anymore. Also, rest in peace to Herman Hall, somebody who was used as a pawn in this conversation to get a greater narrative off, as opposed to recognizing that a man lost his life in a tragic accident, and we should probably just let him, his family, and everybody else involved in the situation just rest.